We've cued the music, and you know what that means. It's time for the Louie Herron Weekend Kickoff with Louie Herron.
At the end of the day, what's most important is to find the car you want that meets the expectations that you need for you and your family.
And Randy Beasley.
Of course, the weekend, you got folks maybe thinking it's going to be some nice weather to get outside and peruse the car lots.
And now here they are, Louie and Randy.
Yes, we are here. It's Friday. It's the final Friday of September.
It's already here.
That's right. Louie is in studio with us today. Good morning.
How are you?
I am doing very, very well. Yes,
absolutely. Even though the rain is,
just a little morning dew. No big deal.
That's it, man. Well, yeah. It's a little quick football talk.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do the high schools first. Baldwin's at home tonight with Upson Lee, and the other two local teams are on the road. JMA is at Edmund Burke. GMC Prep is on the road to play Stratford, and Georgia Military College is also out of state this weekend. So the big local game this weekend, Baldwin hosting Upson Lee tonight.
How's GMC, the college? How we looking?
Big bounce back last week after a rough start. So we'll see if we're headed in the right direction there.
Any prospects that left that we'll see on CBS?
See, you asked me all these questions, and I don't have
Scott?
Mr. McLeod in here.
Where is Scott?
I mean, I follow them, but I just
you always get excited. Some of these guys that go over. You may see them playing on CBS or something. For Georgia or something.
I do know that Gus Malzahn was in Milledgeville last weekend watching them play.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they played Thursday, so he was off Saturday, and he was here.
Okay.
Some pictures showing up on Facebook of him on the sideline.
Sweet. How about the Falcons? What you thinking about the Falcons?
Falcons have had a nice long, since the Thursday night big win, and then they're on the road to play Minnesota, who a lot of people think they should handle, but I think that's going to be
the NFL. You never can tell. I mean, it's really crazy. The Dolphins go over to London. They're playing the Oakland Raiders. So I'm hoping to escape September with a 2-2 record. We played Kansas City last week and didn't quite get it done. And then there's chatter about Ryan Tannehill maybe not play. It's a lot of scuttlebutt.
They haven't announced who's starting this week. They did finally, or
actually they just keep referencing that he took all the first team snaps and all that kind of stuff.
All right.
It's one of those things where if we come back with a loss, they may want to keep the team over in London.
Also want to mention Georgia Southern was a winner last night. They beat Appalachian State 34-14. And college this weekend, Georgia Tech is idle, and Georgia tomorrow, Tennessee with a noon kickoff in Athens.
What do you think about that? What do you think? What do you think about?
I felt good going into the South Carolina game. They lost. I'm a little nervous about this game. Hopefully, that's a good sign.
Well,
we'll see. Tennessee, their offensive line is young, but their defense has played better than people thought. So we'll see how it goes tomorrow. Going to be a nervous time, I think, for a while.
Well, I'll tell you, today we're listen. If there's ever a time where that I'm doing my very best to bring you information that's legit, above board, and good for the consumer, and doesn't hurt the dealer, to create a win-win, this would be the show. We're going to talk about leasing. Now, at the Lake Lot, we don't do any leasing. So when we're talking about that kind of stuff, I mean, this is all about if you've wanted to know about leasing, if you've questioned leasing, I've got no dog in the fight. As of right now, I do not own a franchise, so I cannot lease a car, which breaks my heart, because I think leasing's a great alternative, but it may not be for everybody. But if you really want to know a nice, genuine, honest perspective about leasing, good, bad, and the ugly, we'll cover it all. You want to stay with us, because we'll get down and dirty with it and tell you what you need to avoid, what you want to watch for, when it's positive, when it's negative. And you really got to watch out, because it's a great alternative, but also it could be an alternative you want to stay away from. And we'll discuss it when we come back from the break.
All right, the Louie Herron weekend kickoff. This trying to get your weekend going, and we're going to be back talking some more with Louie in just a moment here on Country 102 WKZR.
No country music was harmed in the making of this song. This is only a test.
And go see Joyce, and get your yard beautiful. 8:35 at Country 102 and 66 degrees. Still got some drizzle and maybe a little fog in parts out there this morning. Later on today, it's just going to be partly to mostly cloudy, and a high Expected, I believe, in the upper 70s. Is that right? Yeah, upper 70s. And the weekend, it's not going to be a washout, but you're going to have a lot of clouds. You're going to have a slight chance for some rain tomorrow and a little better chance Sunday, and then a real good chance, it looks like, Monday. So there's your weekend forecast. This is the Louie Herron weekend kickoff on Country 102. We're talking a little bit about leasing today.
Yeah, and so you've never leased, Randy?
I have not.
You have not. Why have you not leased?
I've just always been a person who kept a car for a while. Just get it paid off, and then you feel like
you've accomplished something.
As long as you're not spending every other week in the shop, you feel like you got a pretty good thing going.
That's right.
And that's just me.
Well, I was looking at again just to reiterate, not having the ability to lease because I don't have a franchise, just the used car lot. I'm still struggling to find some huge detriments to leasing. So again, and just know that I really think it's a great alternative for a lot of folks.
Well, let's throw out some of the perceived problems with leasing. Most people say, "Oh, well, if you lease, you're not going to have anything in 2 years. You're going to pay more. You're not going to have anything." That's what a lot of people think.
Yeah. Well, let's establish one thing right up front. The first thing is you are not a leasing candidate if you're someone like Randy that keeps a car for 10 or 12 years and drives the car till it falls off and likes to get a title. What you have to understand is most people will say to the dealer, I'm not leasing. I don't want to lease. I want to own my car. But as they're working their deal on their trade-in, Bank of America still has the title, or GMAC still has the title, or SunTrust. So in other words, they don't own the car they're buying.
Right.
They still, you don't own it until you get a title, and most people don't trade a car that has a free and clear title, unless the car is just obviously an older 12, 15-year-old car. So you have to establish, are you a lease candidate? If you're a lease candidate, if you like to buy a nice car and want a cheaper payment, you're a lease candidate if you know you're going to trade every 2-3 years. You can just get the itch. You just know that you don't keep a car long.
Next perceived reason that if you drive more than 12,000 miles a year, there's no way that's a good deal, and I'm probably going to put 14,000, 15,000 on there.
Right. Well, the reality is I don't think anyone drives 12,000. I mean, that's the reality. There's still a 12,000, 15,000, 18,000, 20,000 mile a year lease you can purchase, but one of the detriments is, in my opinion, if you choose to go 20,000 miles to give you peace of mind or security, or an 18,000, you might as well buy it. Because
I was going to ask you, what's the sweet spot?
Well, they raise the all the factors for leasing, and they charge up front for miles, and now you're getting into a point where you might as well buy the car, because if in fact you may keep it, you're going to have close to the same payment. One of the benefits of leasing a car, that if you lease a car, your payment on that same exact car versus a retail should be $100 to $150 cheaper. So if you're going to lease a Honda Accord LX, that payment may lease for $209 a month. If you purchase that car, it would be $359 a month, $373 a month. So one of the benefits would be is you would get that payment reduction. Now, a lot of dealers will say, well, listen, if you're saving $150 a month, why don't you just take that extra? If you can afford $330 or $360, take that $150, stick it in the bank, and in 36 months you'll have $4,000 sitting there, or $3,800 sitting there. So any over mileage penalties, you have the money to pay for it. Okay, well, a lot of customers say, well, why would I do that? I don't, most customers aren't going to save the money, all right? But that's an angle that a lot of dealers go to, because mathematically it makes sense. In other words, you have the comfort of paying $209 a month, but go ahead and pay $370, accrue the money, and in a tight month or in a tight period of 3 or 4 months, your payment's still only $209. There's no obligation to pay $370. In theory, it sounds great. And some people may even think that may be a good option for them. But I will tell you, overall, if we start to get into some of the benefits of leasing, we'll cover two quick ones real fast. The first thing is you have a short trade cycle. Back to what we were saying. In a lease, you got a 36-month, 42-month, or 48-month lease, whatever term you choose to have. You're trading in that time frame. Okay, so going in that you're trading the vehicle, and if you're someone that likes to get in and out of cars, that's an advantage for you, because you know that you have the opportunity to potentially get out of it negative equity free, which I'm going to cover that next because that's a big, huge question mark. But to avoid negative equity in a car purchase is huge, and in a lease is one of the only ways you can guarantee potentially there is no negative equity. We'll cover that when we come back from the break. The last thing real quick is on a lease, typically you can do a lease with zero money down and still get that $150 payment reduction, which is very sweet.
Louie Herron weekend kickoff on Country 102, 841, 19 before 9, 66 degrees. Let's go old school. Here's Chuck Wicks. Country 102, high school game of the week tonight. Baldwin hosting Upson Lee, 7:15 pregame right here on Country 102. Right now you're listening to the Louie Herron weekend kickoff with Louie in studio with us today. Our topic is leasing. Should you not? And sometimes the real question is why not?
Well, we had some good chatter off the air.
Yeah, we did.
You had some concerns.
Well, it's just things that I think that most people, is a reason they would be hesitant.
So what would it be? What would it be?
Well, a lot of people, like you said, oh no, I'm never gonna lease. That's not a good deal for me. There's no way. And one of the things I brought up is your credit rating. A lot of people say, well, there's no way. There's no way I'm going to be able to lease because my credit's not perfect.
Right. Well, and that's a good point. Those that are listening right now, it's a benefit to lease. Now, I know a lot of you are listening right now, and your head's kind of spinning, wondering, man, it kind of sounds like there's some positives, but boy, I know there's a snake in the woodpile somewhere. I know there's a potential where I could get burned, and there are some things we need to look for, and we will discuss those. But I will say this: that if your credit score is not a 640 or above. Okay, which 640 is not stellar, by the way, but it is solid. Okay, it's solid. 700 is a good score. I mean, a really good score. You don't have the benefit of leasing. The bank will not allow you to lease, Randy. That's the thing that. So what I'm saying is, when you look at this leasing thing, now there are some other manufacturers, though. I will say this because again, I've been with imports. My whole car career for 22 years. I've been with Honda and Toyota, and but I will tell you, Ford, Dodge, Chevrolet, they're a little more lenient on the score and leasing. And some of the manufacturers like for consumers to lease and lower the standards because they want to have a faster trade cycle, build a relationship with the client, and get them into another car 3 years later. Now, I know as a consumer, they think, oh, yeah, they're just trying to get me to get another one. Well, yeah, that exactly. They want you in a Dodge product or a Ford product, and they want you in their product. They want you to enjoy it for 2 or 3 years, no warranty issues, very little maintenance, like the experience, it fit the needs, and you upgrade to another Ford or Dodge and get into another Honda or whatever. That's the whole point. No different than the barber. Nice haircut, dentist treats you right. They want you to come back. I mean, the goal is not a one-time sale. So I know that's perceived sometimes as a negative thing, but the dealerships will want to continue to earn that relationship with you. Now, we'll go ahead.
Okay, the other point I was mentioning was somebody who says, oh, well, I don't think leasing's for me. I'm a little rough on the car. I got the kids, and they're going to be all over the place. And at the end of this thing, I don't want to find out I owe hundreds or thousands of dollars. I just can't do that.
So if there's the one thing that keeps people from leasing a car beyond a shadow of a doubt, in 22 years in doing this, I will tell you it's the fear of getting screwed at the end because of the condition and the miles of the car. And I'm going to give you that. Not now, but I will give it to you later. But can I cover one other point?
Yep, go right ahead.
All right, real quick. Negative equity. I said earlier, if you lease a car, you run the risk of zero negative equity. Now, everyone needs to understand you can't get out of a car without negative equity. I mean, 80% of the time you're going to have negative equity. Leasing gives you the potential, quotations here, potential, because if you're somebody that stays within the parameters of the lease, you can turn the vehicle in and walk away with no charge other than a disposal fee, which is typically $300. $350. So if you are a short commuter and it fits your needs, that is an awesome way where you have zero negative equity, put it back on the manufacturer, and you walk away scot-free.
Louie Herron Toyota weekend kickoff, learning a little bit more about leasing. 66 degrees, 848. Here's Joe Nichols.
Flooring America of Milledgeville, Highway 22 West, across from Williams Park.
Country 102 WKZR. Our Bobby Brown Insurance Agency time is 8:53, 66 degrees. It's the Louie Herron weekend kickoff. Louie in studio with us today talking about leasing.
Running out of time.
Yes.
Running out of time as usual. We've got a couple more breaks. I am going to answer that question. And again, I encourage everyone just, every Friday tune in. We've got some great car information. And again, just to reiterate, I can't lease you a car. I would love to, but until I buy another dealership, I don't have that ability to. But I will tell you, if you want to lease, I'm giving you some information that I think is valuable, very, very much in the arena that will help you save some money. Now, here's one that this is the answer. Off air, you and I were discussing. So we talked about what really keeps people from leasing a car. What is the fear, the worry, and the bottom line is when I'm done with this car, when it's at the end of my lease, I felt good at the beginning because my payment was $200 a month. I got a great car. It treated me right, but at the end, that's where you got me. Okay, so here you got to tune in. You got to listen up. This is the key. At the end of a lease, there are always 4 options. Now, consumers only think there's 2. You can either trade it or you can turn it in. And when you turn it in, that's when you're in trouble. You have 4 options. You can buy this car. There is no better used car to buy than your own. You've driven it. You know what's going on with it. You've maintained it. No better used car. However, if you end up buying the car, you will end up paying a little bit more than had you bought it at the beginning. Mm-hmm. So just know that going in. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. It may your circumstance may have changed. It may be perfect for you. Second option, you can sell the car and make money. Believe it or not, you can sell the car and make money. Here's how that works. You call and get your payoff. It works just like a purchase. They'll give you a dollar amount that is owed on the car. Forget the miles. Mm-hmm. Forget the dents, dings, scratches. Your kids were rough. There's stuff under the seats. Forget all that stuff. All right? The bumper scuff and the tires need to be changed. Forget all that. You find your payoff. You find that it's $16,300. You advertise it for $17,300 or best offer. Or you do like you do when you go to a dealer. You look at KBB and you try to get as much as you can. Same exact scenario. The bank just wants their payoff. They don't care about the miles. Mm-hmm. Very important that you understand that. The third option, trade the vehicle. This is the option that I recommend you do every single time. Here's why. If you're someone that leases and you drive 14 to 16,000 miles a year and you did a 12,000 mile a year lease and you're rough on the car and it needs tires, who cares? You got a $209 payment. You trade the car in, there will be some negative equity. But you know what? When you buy a car, there's negative equity. It's based on the condition and the miles on the vehicle and what you owe. Both a lease and a purchase have a payoff. Cars depreciate. They don't go up in value. Statistically, 88% of the time, you're going to have negative equity unless you put a substantial cash down payment, or it's been 4.5 years or 4 years later, and even then you may still have a little negative equity. Okay? The very last option, there are 4. The last option is to turn it in. This is the option that I would only do if you're under the miles and the condition of the car is normal wear and tear. Okay, if you're under the miles, turn it in, walk away. You pay a disposal fee, minimal cost. It's cheaper than paying for any kind of a negative equity on trade, and they take the negative equity at the auction. Okay, so there are 4 options, and all 4 options are viable. Let's go back to the selling. I could lead you to the right place, or you could do the research. One place is swapalease.com. I did this in 2000, I think it was 1998. Swapalease.com. You put your lease up like an Auto Trader website, and somebody can assume your lease. So 6 months or 8 months before your lease is up, regardless of the miles, the condition. You do the same thing if you were selling it. Somebody out there may want your Ford Expedition and may want to take over your $302 payment, and they do it for another 12 months because they just want a 12-month lease. Mm-hmm. There are so many scenarios out there. The main thing is don't get blacked out on leasing. It's a great option. We're going to cover more next week because obviously I didn't get through some of the benefits and the detriments that you'll need to know about as well, but we got a little more when we come back.
All right, we'll be back for one more break with Louie Herron, 66 degrees. It's the Louie Herron weekend kickoff on Country 102, WKZR, Milledgeville.
This is the Huckabee Report for Friday. I'm Mike Huckabee from Nashua, New Hampshire. Hold on to your hats. The NRA and the ACLU found something to agree on. That's next.
True story. 9:03 at Country 102. Back one final time, Louie Herron weekend kickoff with Louie in studio. We've been talking about leasing today, and one thing that I mentioned,
break.
Something that wasn't clear to me, and maybe there's some other people it's not clear to. When you have a lease that's running out and the options that you have, you mentioned trading it in, and my thought has always been, well, if I have a lease run out, I would take it in and lease another car, or I would just take it in and leave it and get the hit. But by trading it in, I'm not exactly clear what we mean by that.
Okay. So if we buy a car, here's what we do when we trade it in. Typically, what people do will call, get their payoff, and they'll go online to see what their car is worth. They'll kind of get an understanding if they have any kind of negative equity, or some will just go trade the car. They'll walk into the dealership, they'll say, here's my keys, there's my trade, appraise it. The appraiser will go out and walk around the car and appraise it and drive it. Based on the miles, condition, and how it drives, he'll look at the auctions, the black books, the NADA books, all those kind of things that we look at. He'll give it a value. At that point, we've established what negative equity or break even or positive equity you have. Okay, based on the miles and the condition.
Because, like you said, most people, when they trade in, they're going to have some negative equity.
Right.
They're not going to walk in with the title. Okay,
Correct.
All right.
If you got a lease vehicle, you do the same exact thing.
Oh, okay.
You do the same thing. Here's what you have to understand. Where people get confused is they still think in their mind, well, wait a minute, what's going to happen to the miles? What about the disposal? Am I responsible? Who's paying? Remember, if you're buying it yourself, you're going to go to the bank and finance and pay off the payoff. The bank doesn't care what the miles are and the conditions because they're not getting it. If you sell it to John Doe, John's getting the car with the miles and the dents and the dings. The bank just wants what's owed. They don't have to worry about the miles and the dents and the dings. If you trade it, the dealership gets the car with all the miles and the dents and the dings. The bank just gets their payoff. Here's the key that everyone has to remember. If the bank gets the car back with the miles and the dents and the scratches and the tires, they have to remarket the car back into marketplace through the auctions. They're going to take a hit when the buyer buys that car. They, in turn, turn around and charge you for that hit up front because they already have an estimate with all the algorithms. They kind of know what they're going to lose based on the mile. So the key is if the bank gets the car back, they get the car back with the miles, the tires, the dents and dings. You're responsible. If you trade it, if you sell it, or you buy it, the bank never sees the car. They don't care.
Gotcha.
They just want what's owed. Does that make sense?
It's perfect. I got it now. Thank you very much for explaining that because I wasn't exactly clear and maybe some others weren't. All right, let's talk about Louie's Lake Lot, Louie Herron.
The lot where we can't lease cars, and we've just done a 45-minute show of how I can't help them with that.
In case people aren't exactly sure what we're talking about, Louie's Lake Lot is on the Lake Oconee Parkway near the Pyramid.
That's right.
And Louie is there most of the time. He wants to see you there today.
That's it. We got great used cars. Look, we're talking new cars and leasing, but you know what? There's tons of folks out there that's in the market for a used car. Here's what I will challenge everybody. Price is very important, but I think service is just important. Go to the Auto Trader, go to KBB, go to cars.com. I promise you'll see our cars listed. When most people sort, they sort by the least expensive to the most expensive to the car they're looking for. If we've got it, it's going to show up on number car 1, 2, or 3 are definitely on the first page. Our cars are priced aggressively. We can do that because really I've got 3 people, including myself, and low overhead. So we're aggressively want to make sure price is not an option, or it's not an issue for you. What we want to do is make sure you get a quality car with warranty, which we offer a 4-month warranty right off the lot. You don't pay anything for that. Okay, we have other warranties and insurances and things that I used to sell at the Toyota store, just like I did there. We offer those. We've got almost any make and model. We carry a lot of Highlines, a lot of pickups, a lot of SUVs. We carry all the brands that are available, from Volkswagen all the way to Honda to Ford to Kia to Fiat to Volkswagen to Toyotas. We got everything that you're looking for. And here's the best thing. If you have something that we like, that you like that we don't have, we'll go find it without a deposit and no pressure to buy it. We'll actually get the car, and it's subject to a ride and drive. You'll know the price, you'll know the payment, you'll know the term before the car even hits the ground. So it's all based on a test drive, which, in my opinion, if you knew what you could pay for a car, what the rate was going to be, everything was comfortable, and it was subject to a drive, boy, that makes you feel good. Because you already know the deal's done. There's no back and forth. You can know all of that before you even pick up your car, which is a great alternative. Go to louieslakelot.com, grab your phone, be a Facebook fan. Go to Louie's Lake Lot, our fan page. All the shows that you and I have recorded, they're on the website, and they're also on the autoschool.com. We want to help you make a great decision and, again, deal with somebody that hopefully you can trust and feel good about.
All right, so they can come see you today?
Yes,
about
absolutely.
Tomorrow morning?
Yes, they can do it.
All right, Louie's Lake Lot, Lake Oconee Parkway near the Pyramid. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend. And you've been listening to the Louie Herron Weekend Kickoff on Country 102 WKZR, 908 and 66 degrees at Country 102. Have yourself a great weekend.